Start as Chaos Demon and join the chat group. Chapter 26 The Real Wind God. Gee, I didn't expect you to be alive. Qingfen looked at Wu Laoqi and said calmly. Oh, you are Miss May's master. I remember your name is Qingfen, right? Wu Laoqi didn't care much about the relationship between Qingfen and himself. The only time they had met before was when she had attacked him and Qingfen helped him. Qingfen was a little confused. This Wu Laoqi seemed to be a little wrong. Ha ha ha, I laughed to death. Look at Qingfen's confused look. When I typed a question mark, it's not me who is wrong, it's you who is wrong. Conan in the live broadcast room looked at Qingfen and laughed until he twitched. Oh, you are wondering why I am like this, right? I have lost my memory and don't remember that you are Qingfen. Let's solve it quickly. Wu Laoqi explained, but this made Qingfen feel like he was teased. What do you mean I have lost my memory and don't remember that you are Qingfen? Since you have lost your memory, how do you know that I am Qingfen? Not wanting to talk to this idiot, Qingfen raised his sword with both hands, ready to solve the source beast with Wu Laoqi. Qingfen fought while secretly observing the other party. Wu Laoqi didn't care. He was a big-headed person and didn't care that much, but Qingfen had a bigger doubt in his heart. This guy named Wu Laoqi was definitely the original Qi. Although his personality and hairstyle were different from the one in his memory, his appearance and fighting methods were exactly the same. What's more, Qingfen glanced at the magic knife Kinran in Wu Laoqi's hand. This knife would only exert its true power in Qi's hands. Not only that, the magic knife Kinran was what he instigated the other party to take. This was the treasure of the Shentuan kingdom, which Wu Laoqi got by killing the thousand-year evil spirit. Watching Wu Laoqi's battle, Qingfen was secretly shocked. He didn't expect that this guy not only didn't die at the beginning, but also became so powerful. He felt that if he faced him, he might not be his opponent. In this somewhat weird atmosphere, the two of them solved the source beast in front of them together, but with Wu Laoqi's carefree personality, he didn't feel anything wrong. Both of them were masters of the second level, and it was easy to deal with the second-level source beast. They quickly solved the battle. On the other side, Lan Minghua and Director Zhang almost finished the battle. Wu Laoqi didn't stop and rushed directly to Tony. After all, the other party came to help him. He cooperated with Tony to solve the last second-level source beast. At this time, there was only one third-level source beast left on the field. I feel that there are still several powerful auras over there, which makes me tremble. At this time, Lan Minghua suddenly said. No one on the scene was weak, and they could all feel that there was another battlefield on the other side. Everyone quickly joined together and then rushed to the battlefield of Uchiha Madara and others. Everyone who came here had a solemn look on their faces. They saw a giant several dozen meters tall on the battlefield that was really eye-catching, but the power exuded by the other two should not be underestimated. At this time, Uchiha Madara was using Susanoo, wielding a sword as big as a mountain. The opponent was also a black giant who was as strong as him, but his body was burning with black flames. The main force of this battle was still Uchiha Madara, and Wendy was suspected of being a soy sauce on the side. But even so, it was much stronger than the others. Every arrow shot out was accompanied by a strong wind through the body of the source beast. Roar, you are definitely not from this world. Why do you come to stop us? The black giant roared. Although Wendy and the others could not kill him at present, it would not take long. Although their source beasts were almost immortal, they would also consume energy. When the energy was completely consumed, it could only return to the original space again and it would take a long time to recover again, which made it very unwilling. Who asked you to invade the world everywhere? And you set your sights on this place. If we don't leave you here, wouldn't we have come here in vain? Uchiha Madara sneered when he heard this. Okay, since you guys are so entangled, I'll show you the true form of our source beast. As he said that, he fell to the ground and turned into a huge black beast. The crystal on his chest moved to his forehead, and a pair of black bone wings appeared behind him. Damn, this guy is really difficult to deal with. If Wu Laoqi doesn't treat me to more cider after this fight, I won't come to help next time. Wendy couldn't help but complain about Wu Laoqi. Well, sorry, Wendy, we don't have cider here. Wu Laoqi heard Wendy's complaints and shouted to him. Do you think I don't know? I asked you to treat me to cider from other places. Wendy looked at Wu Laoqi and felt helpless about this big idiot. Stop talking nonsense, show your real strength quickly, I know you haven't used your real strength yet. Uchiha Madara shouted at Wendy after hearing this. He felt the pressure increase sharply now. He didn't expect that the other party hadn't used his real strength yet. I know. Why are you so angry? Wendy put away his playful thoughts after hearing this and decided to show his real strength. As a burst of light emerged from Wendy's body, his appearance changed immediately. The original white and green clothes turned into a completely white color, and a pair of white wings appeared behind. At the same time, a round metal armor appeared on the chest. From the place where the armor leaked out, you can faintly see the symbol of the wind god. P.S. You can see the second episode of the original God comics for the specific appearance. In addition, the Wendy in the hands of the traveler cannot transform. I didn't expect that mine can, haha. However, the original clothes became less, especially the clothes on the belly disappeared, and the two long legs were even more bare, which made Director Zhang on the side roar. Why is your transformation like this? Can you pay attention to shame and don't blind the eyes of children? Sorry, wait until I finish beating this monster. Wendy was stunned when he heard the words, and couldn't help sticking out his tongue embarrassedly. Then, flapping the pair of white wings behind him, he flew towards the huge source beast not far away, and at the same time, the original longbow in his hand turned into a harp. At this moment, Wendy can be called the wind god Barbatos, which is his strongest form. His original appearance was a wind elf with a pair of small wings on his back, similar to a sunny doll. After he ascended the throne of the god of wind, he used his divine power to transform himself into the appearance of the boy who had fought side by side with him. Since he ascended the throne, this has been his powerful form. Haha, the wind is blowing. As Wendy gently stroked the harp, a beautiful sound of the harp came out, but it turned into various swords and spears to attack the source beast. He continued to stroke the strings again, and wind blades flew out, beating the source beast into a mess. The people who were still laughing in the live broadcast room couldn't help but look at Wendy. They didn't expect that this guy would be so fierce after the transformation, just like a cheat. This is when he has lost all his divine power now. If it was Wendy who first ascended the throne, it is not difficult to imagine how strong he is. It is estimated that it is similar to the time when Saitama killed the entire monster army with one punch. Everyone thought so. Not only the people in the live broadcast room, but also Wu Laoki and Xingfeng and others were watching this century-long battle. This is a battle that broke their outlook on life. Oh my god, am I still not awake? Achi. At this time, Ji Dabeo also ran over with Xiaofei in his arms. Before, when Wu Laoki and the others were fighting, Ji Dabeo could only hide far away with Xiaofei. Now that Wu Laoki and the others have finished fighting, they can finally come out and make themselves familiar. However, Wu Laoki was also attracted by the battle at this time, so he did not hear what Ji Dabeo said. Ji Dabeo did not care either. Like everyone else, he focused on watching the battle between the three people. Start as Chaos Demon and join the chat group. Chapter 27, Poem of the Wind God. Roar. The source beast was blocked by Uchiha Madara Susanoo in front and harassed by Wendy's wind magic in the back, making it overwhelmed. Let's kill it in one go. Wendy said to Uchiha Madara. Okay, Heaven's Abyss. As he said that, Madara directly released his strongest skill in the Susanoo state, Heaven's Abyss. Look, what is that? Ji Dabeo pointed to the sky where several people were fighting, and couldn't help but feel his chicken legs going weak. Everyone looked up when they heard the words, and they couldn't help but almost scared to death. They saw a huge meteorite falling from the sky and smashing towards the source beast below. Not good. If this meteorite falls, the entire chicken island will be completely razed to the ground. Lan Minghua said anxiously when he saw this, but unfortunately they were a little far away from Madara, and their voices couldn't be transmitted at all, not to mention that the sound on the battlefield was too noisy. Boss, if you hit this big move, our entire chicken island will be gone. Wu Laoki was anxious in the chat group, frantically tagging Uchiha Madara. Don't worry, just watch. Uchiha Madara didn't say much after hearing this, just let him watch. It seems that he is very confident that he will not destroy Chicken Island. Wu Laoki felt relieved after hearing this. Since Madara said so, there should be no problem. Maybe he has some confidence. Wu Laoki can only think so now. What should we do? With our strength, we can't stop it at all. Director Zhang said anxiously when he saw this. It's okay, Madara Sr. has confidence, just watch it. Wu Laoki could only comfort him like this. As soon as the voice fell, the incident suddenly took a turn, and Wendy took action. Madara, you really gave me a difficult problem. At this time, Wendy looked at the huge meteorite that was slowly falling, and couldn't help complaining to Madara. Although he said this, his hands did not hesitate. Wendy saw that the harp in his hand turned into a longbow again, and then the longbow was fully pulled, and the rich wind element gathered on it. Don't try to escape, Poem of the Wind God. The next second, 1,000 winds gathered and shot out arrows, wrapping the source beast and the meteorite, creating a huge eye of the storm in front. Countless wind elements flowed, breaking the meteorite into countless fragments. At the same time, under the guidance of the wind, countless meteorites turned into stronger impact force and hit the source beast. Not only that, under the guidance of Wendy, the powerful impact force was all released in the eye of the storm, and all the power hit the source beast. Countless meteorite fragments and wind blades instantly crushed the source beast into powder, and even the hardest crystal on the source beast turned directly into powder and dissipated in the world. Is this the end? Everyone on Chicken Island stared blankly at the place where the source beast dissipated, and the shock in their hearts could not calm down for a long time. Okay, now that it's over, Wu Laoki, explain it to me, or I'll fine you for damaging the public property of Chicken Island. Director Zhang came to Wu Laoki's side and stretched out his hand to twist Wu Laoki's ear. Ah, it hurts. Director Zhang, stop it. I'll tell everyone when I go back. Wu Laoki screamed in pain and begged for mercy. Let's talk about this matter when we get back. Director Zhang let go of his hand after hearing this. At this time, Ban and Wendy also came back. They both cancelled their transformation state and walked towards the crowd. Everyone looked at Wendy and the others, with mixed feelings in their hearts. They didn't know where this big guy came from, and they felt a little uneasy. Thank you, two seniors, let's go back and rest, I'll make beef offal for you personally. Wu Laoki came over and smiled at the two of them. You are so stingy, we have made so much effort, and you actually treat us to beef offal. Wendy looked disgusted when she heard this. No need, we just take what we need. Ban still looked cold, but it was true. They came to help not only because they were in the same group, but also to earn points. Soon after, everyone gathered at Wu Laoki's house. This is how it happened. Now you all know it. At this time, Wu Laoki finally explained the ins and outs of all the things. However, he hid the true origins of Tony and the other two, saying that they also came from outside the world and happened to know him. Because the source beast is hated by all worlds, it happened to help solve it. At this time, Wu Laoki had turned off the live broadcast. After all, everyone wanted to see the passionate battle and was not interested in listening to his story, so he turned off the live broadcast. At this time, everyone knew the situation. They didn't expect that the matter was so dangerous. If they didn't show up in time and find the source beast, then the people in their world would definitely be swallowed by the source beast in the end, and the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, everyone looked at Wendy and the other two who were drinking on the side, and their hearts were full of gratitude. As for why they believed Wu Laoki's words, it was because they had their own judgment. The source beast would emit a feeling that made the creatures of the world disgusted, which was mentioned in Wu Laoqi's words. And they had felt before that after encountering the source beast, their bodies would unconsciously react with disgust. As a warrior, if you can't control every organ of your body, it means that you haven't practiced to the home. It is obvious that the people present are not ordinary people. And their bodies reacted, which can't be deceived, so they all believed Wu Laoqi's statement. At this time, Wendy and his friends were drinking wine. Because there was no favorite apple wine, Wendy could only drink the wine here, but it felt good. The wine here is okay, but my favorite is still apple wine. The best wine I have ever drunk is still dandelion wine. I will invite you to the continent of Tibet later, and we will go to the Don Winery to drink together. Wendy drank wine and chattered, saying that he would invite everyone to drink. In fact, Wendy is just a street singer. Every time he sings, he doesn't have many mora. And because of his appearance, the tavern thinks he is a minor, so they don't sell him wine. For this reason, Wendy specially practiced a unique skill, that is, he developed a unique skill of drinking while playing the piano with his mouth biting a wine glass. When doing the work of a bard, he would call on the audience to change from throwing money to feeding. If you like his music, go to the tavern to buy some good wine to treat him to a glass. If they go with Tony and the others, I believe the tavern will definitely sell them wine, and maybe they can even go to the Don Winery to get some. He has been coveting the wine in the Don Winery for a long time, but unfortunately Dai Look never sells wine to him. He doesn't even let him eat there. What a stingy guy. What's the big deal? If you want to drink, I'll give you a few wine cellars later. There are red wine, white wine, beer, rice wine, and medicinal wine. Tony smiled and promised directly. As a rich man, there are all kinds of high-end wines. Then, let's say, it's settled. I'll go and ask for it later. Wendy's eyes lit up when she heard this, but her tongue was tied up after drinking. The few of them drank and chatted, but it was basically Tony and Wendy who chatted, and Ben just drank a little wine silently. Anyway, they were not in a hurry to go back, so they planned to go back after eating and drinking to experience the customs of the other world. However, Wendy's alcohol tolerance was really not good, and soon his tongue was tied. He was obviously an alcoholic, but his alcohol tolerance was not very good. I'll tell you, later. I'll call Morux, that old man, and then, let's have a drink together. I haven't seen him for a long time, and I heard that he resigned from the god position. Wendy said, and soon fell down. Start as Chaos Demon and join the chat group. Chapter 28 Heading to Tibet. Forget it, let's stay for one night before leaving. If you have something else to do, you can leave early. Tony was helpless and could only ask for Madara's opinion. In that case, I will go back first. After all, I have a lot of things to do there. Now the relationship between the villages is a little tense again. I have to go back to take charge of the overall situation. Madara nodded and explained to Tony. Tony nodded, and he could understand Madara, and then Madara teleported back directly. Not long after, everyone left. Qingfen looked at Wu Laoqi with complicated eyes. He had planned to find Wu Laoqi to seize the magic sword Kinrin, but he didn't expect that the other party would be so strong. Not only that, the other party also has such a powerful friend. Although he is not from this world, it also affects him. It seems that his future plans have to be changed. Fortunately, Wu Laoqi is not so cunning now, and even has some idiotic attributes, otherwise he will definitely retaliate against himself. Thinking of this, Qingfen looked at Mai Washizen who was following him, thinking about something in his heart. The next morning, at the door of Wu Laoqi Dabeo J Hair Salon. Oh, I had a good sleep, it's so comfortable. Wendy walked out of the salon and stretched comfortably. What are you talking about? With your alcohol tolerance, you still have the nerve to love drinking so much. You are really a bad person with a big addiction. Tony walked behind and looked at Wendy helplessly. Last night, Tony and G Dabeo discussed until midnight. He was very interested in G Dabeo's versatile Geba egg. Wu Laoqi had used it to turn into many things. For this invention, many of the designs made Tony's eyes light up. Oh, okay, don't worry about these details. How about I invite you to Mondstadt and we can have a good drink again? Wendy waved her hand and smiled. Forget about drinking, but I am quite interested in your world. Tony said with interest. Okay, then it's decided. Let's set off now. Wendy said hurriedly when she saw this. You're leaving now, aren't you staying one more day? Wu Laoqi came over and said. Come over next time when you're free, Achi, do you want to come over to our place to play? Wendy invited him. No, I still have to deal with some things here. Although Wu Laoqi wanted to go over to play, he decided to wait until next time because he had to deal with the aftermath of Chicken Island. That's it, we're leaving, goodbye in the chat group. Wendy stopped inviting him and said goodbye to Wu Laoqi together with Tony, and then the two of them teleported to the continent of Tibet. Not long after, two figures appeared in the Whispering Forest outside Mon City. Welcome to the continent of Tibet, this is the Whispering Forest outside Mon City, I teleported from here that day. Wendy looked at the familiar forest and felt very relaxed. Let's go to Mon City to take a look. I've only seen it in your Destiny space, and I haven't been here yet.
Carlo.
After all, it's the city you built. Tony nodded and said, Let's go. I've only been away for a day and I'm missing my cider. Wendy said as she led Tony directly towards Mondstadt. I don't know if it's because the group owner is awesome or the chat group is awesome. We traveled through the world at will, but were not discovered by the old woman Tian Li. The traveler brothers and sisters were just passing by here, and were discovered and brought here by Tian Li. Along the way, Wendy was telling Tony about the Tibet continent, mixed with complaints about Tian Li. Tony knew what was going on here, so he had some understanding of it, and he also knew that this guy was a fearless person. Not only that, This idle wind god also had some bad tastes, such as once replacing the Ice Queen scepter with a hill climber stick. By the way, can you still make a god's eye now? I want to study it when I have time. Tony suddenly asked. Well, although my heart of God was taken away by the lady executive of the Fashui, after joining the chat group, I learned how to use the power of faith. Now I can accumulate God's power without the heart of God. It's no problem to give you an eye of God to play with, Wendy said, taking off her eye of God and handing it to Tony. Don't think I don't know that this is a glass bead. Why do I need it? Tony said disdainfully. Oh, don't worry, I have upgraded it. Now it is a genuine eye of God. Wendy smiled awkwardly, knowing that Tony knew that he had cheated before, but this time he really didn't lie. After hearing this, Tony took over Wendy's eye of God. He didn't need to make any effort to feel the power of the wind element inside. After seeing Tony put it away, Wendy took out another eye of God from somewhere and hung it around his waist again. Seeing Tony looking at him, he said, this time, this is the real glass bead. Tony. The two walked and talked, and passed by. They didn't want to meddle in other people's business and kill them. After a long time, the two finally arrived outside Mondstadt. Tony is not from this world, so he has no interest in this. Wendy, as the god of wind, handed over the hill people outside the territory of Mondstadt to the Knights of Favonius to deal with. Since he handed Mondstadt over to humans to develop, he had to let them solve the problem themselves. This was not because he was lazy. After a long time, the two finally arrived outside Mondstadt. Tony looked at the city-state that symbolizes freedom and felt like he was back home. After all, he was an American who symbolized freedom and democracy. The two of them simply registered at the city gate and then walked into Mondstadt. Let's go, I'll take you to eat some Mondstadt's specialties. Wendy looked at the residents coming and going and smiled at Tony. Do you have money? Tony looked up and down at the other party and didn't think he could afford to hire him. After all, the gods of Tibet were notoriously poor. A wind god who doesn't do his job is because he is poor. Although he sings everywhere, he can only make ends meet. A rock lord who walks around doesn't bring money. Although he makes money, he bargains for things, but someone pays the bill. I'm talking about you, Dada. Hey, I forgot about this. How about I go to sing, just in time to take you to experience what a bard is? Wendy felt that he had a good idea and couldn't help clapping his hands. Forget it, I have a way. Tony's forehead was throbbing with pains, and he almost couldn't help but beat up this unreliable wind god. Hey? What can you do? Didn't you pay back all your diamonds to Achi? And diamonds are not needed here. Wendy was puzzled when he heard it. Don't you know that the points in the group can be exchanged for currencies in various worlds? Tony couldn't help but ask back. Hey, there is also this. Let me see. He opened his chat group and found the interface for exchanging currencies. Okay, in this case, I have completed the task this time and I have several thousand points, which can be exchanged for some mora. I will treat you. Wendy waved his hand and said directly like a rich man. It's up to you, I don't care. Tony knew that the other party had earned a lot of points, definitely more than himself. He only had 1,000 points, and most of them were from Wendy and Ben. And if he exchanged mora for mora and couldn't spend it all, he wouldn't be able to use it when he went back, so he didn't be polite to him. Wendy looked at the exchange rate and found it was quite good. 1 point could be exchanged for 10,000 mora, so she simply exchanged for 1 million mora and made herself a millionaire. Let's go, I'll treat you to dinner. We won't drink in the morning. Let's eat some Mon's specialties and pick the expensive ones. Wendy patted her chest and said, with money in the pocket, there is no panic in the heart. After being a poor guy for so long, I can finally be extravagant. As she said that, she took the lead and walked in front. Tony shook his head and followed. Start as Chaos Demon and join the chat group. Chapter 29, The Ancient Brand Magic Light Stick. After having a good meal, the two came out of the Deer Hunter restaurant. Is there any place you want to go? I can take you there. I have nothing to do anyway. After finishing the meal, Wendy introduced to Tony. I plan to go to the library of the Knights of Favonius. Can you help me? Tony thought about it and decided to go to the library to expand his knowledge and learn more. After all, he is a scientist. For this reason, Tony also specially exchanged for a photographic memory ability in the chat group. He almost spent all his points. With this ability, he can better learn the knowledge of various worlds and develop new technologies for himself. This is simple. My name Wendy is still useful in the Knights. When we recaptured Tabarin, it was thanks to me and the Traveler, so I also have some dealings with the current Knights. Wendy nodded and agreed directly. Under Wendy's leadership, the two came all the way to the headquarters of the Knights of Favonius. The two knights at the door did not stop them. Although Tony was a stranger, he knew Wendy, and no one would cause trouble in the Knights. Hey, Lisa, good morning. Wendy saw Lisa in the library and greeted her with a smile. It's Wendy, why don't you go out to sing and come here? Lisa was sorting books. When she heard Wendy talking, she looked up at Wendy. I have a friend here, his name is Tony, who wants to come to the library to read books. I'm here to tell you, the librarian. Wendy said with a smile, and brought Tony over. Hello, beautiful lady. Tony walked over slowly and smiled at Lisa. Oh, he's a handsome guy. In that case, just do whatever you want, don't follow Wendy all day long and do nothing. Lisa smiled and pointed to the direction of the bookshelf. Thank you, Miss Lisa, I wonder if I can buy you a drink after get off work. Tony's Playboy attributes came out again, and he couldn't help but invite her. Haha, although I really want to go, I'm really busy recently, so I'm sorry. Lisa smiled and declined. That's a pity. In that case, I won't bother you. Tony shook his head, said hello, and walked towards the bookshelf. This guy. Wendy watched Tony leave, and couldn't help but hold her forehead helplessly. That's it, Tony, I'll leave first. If you want to find me later, just send me a private message. Wendy walked quickly to Tony and said, No problem, go and have fun by yourself, I want to finish reading these books quickly. Tony quickly entered the state of work and study, and no longer paid attention to Wendy. Wendy. Okay, I'm leaving, Lisa, see you later, and say hello to the head of the Chin group for me. Wendy waved to Lisa and ran over directly. As a ray of free wind, this place is really not suitable for him. This guy. Looking at Wendy running away, and then looking at Tony studying, Lisa shook her head helplessly and continued to work. By the way, I haven't seen Tony since I left Wu Lioqi's live broadcast room yesterday. What has this guy been doing? After a while, Tony's old rival Conan came online in the chat group. Looking at Tony's dim avatar, he felt lonely like snow in life. Well, you are talking about him. He has come to Tibet with me and is studying in Mond Library. Wendy took a bite of the apple and responded to Conan while strolling on the street. Hey? He actually went to your world. Conan was surprised when he heard it. Ah, yes, why, Conan wants to come too. Wendy finished eating the apple in her hand and replied slowly. No, I have recently followed the advice of the group leader and am practicing the way of death. Now it has begun to show results. You see, I have reached the second level. Conan declined when he heard it. The way of death? What is this? Wendy was stunned and felt that it was quite powerful. Oh, the group leader said that I have the characteristic of killing people wherever I go, and thought that I am suitable for practicing the way of death, so he specially made a set of exercises for me. It really worked twice with half the effort when I practiced. This kind of exercises is to cultivate passive abilities. It will stimulate my death-following ability to the extreme, and then I can control it at any time. Conan replied happily. He felt like he had found the direction of his life. This. Wendy was speechless. It really suits him. Thinking of Conan's talent of death-following, even he, the wind god, couldn't help but shudder. Everyone, I got the super ancient technology from 30 million years ago from the chat group before, and now I have completed a replica of the magic stick. Does anyone want to try it? At this time, Daegu, who had not appeared for a long time, came online and broke a bombshell right away. It turned out that this guy had secretly learned the super ancient technology of their world without knowing it. That was an era when there were countless giants of light, and many of them were artificially created. If Daegu really understood everything, then he would directly sell Ultraman to all the worlds. No one expected that Tony had said he wanted to study this before, but Daegu quietly created the god light stick. However, Daegu is the human body of Tika after all, so it is understandable that he is more familiar with light particles than Tony. Uncle Daegu, please give me a magic stick, I want to kick the Lord and tear the devil apart. Xiao was secretly peeking at the screen, and suddenly jumped out when she saw this. Originally, everyone was a little interested, but Xiao had already spoken, and everyone was not interested in competing with the little girl. Anyway, Daegu would make a new one in the future. Yes, but you have to pay attention, this magic stick can only be used once a day, after use it will automatically absorb the light particles wandering in the air to recover. Currently there is only one Tika composite form, and it cannot switch forms. Daegu didn't care, just explained to Xiao. It's okay, thank you Uncle Daegu, and the other uncles in the group. There is nothing good in my world, only the Lord's talisman and those masks are a bit interesting, I can get a few of them back. Xiao was grateful when she heard this, and she didn't forget the other people in the group. She also knew that everyone gave it to her because she was a child. Although she was a child, she didn't know anything. On the contrary, she was very smart. So she promised to make some spells or masks for everyone. After all, these are the devil's things. If they are kept, they may be stolen by Daolong and his people to harm the world. It is much better to put them in other worlds. They can't make any waves. Not only that, there are many big guys in the group. Maybe they can analyze it and make it into mass-produced things like the magic stick. Everyone smiled when they heard it, but they didn't care too much. By the way, Daegu, how much power can your magic stick exert? Tony also came online at this time. As a scientist, he was also curious about the structure of the magic stick, but since Xiao got it, he would not rob the child's things. He just asked Daegu with some doubts. I'm not sure about this, but it should be between the peak of the second level and the early stage of the third level. Except for the ability to change form and other forms, everything else will be there, but it can only last for 3 minutes. Daegu answered Tony's question and reminded Xiao. Uncle Daegu, I understand. I'll go down first. Xiao responded to the words, and then hurriedly went offline. What an impatient person. Daegu shook his head and laughed when he saw this.